Let me go on here just for a second, Cliff. Indulge me. We've got extra time today.
No, of course.
Dick Cheney. This is in December 2007. I am fairly confident we'll have Iraq in a good place where we'll be able to look back on it and say that was the right decision. It was a sound decision going into Iraq. The surge will be a remarkable success story that will be studied for years to come. By the middle of January 2009, it will be clear, quote, we have in fact achieved our objectives in terms of having a self-governing Iraq that's capable for the most part of defending themselves, a democracy in the heart of the Middle East, a nation that will be a positive force influencing the world around it in the future. Oh my God, that didn't happen as well. Rumsfeld. The idea that it's going to be a long, long battle of some kind, I think, is belied by the fact of what happened in 1990. 5 days or 5 weeks or 5 months, but it certainly isn't going to last any longer than that. It won't be World War III, said the Secretary of Defense November 15th, 2002, 5 months before we go into war. He had no idea what he was talking about, or if he did, he was just lying. And November 2003 speech, George Bush, this is a massive and difficult undertaking. It is worth our effort. It is worth our sacrifice because we know the stakes. The failure of Iraqi democracy would embolden terrorists around the world. This is after he went in and blew up the country, increase the dangers to the American people, extinguish the hopes of millions in the region. Iraqi democracy will succeed. And that success will send forth the news, maybe the good news, from Damascus to Tehran, that freedom can be the future of every nation. The establishment of an Iraq free at the heart of the Middle East will be a watershed event in the global democratic revolution. Maybe that'll take place after global warming has basically destroyed our civilization, but it ain't going to happen.
What are you talking about? Global warming isn't happening, just like we were successful in Iraq.
It's unbelievable. It's
and these
just
guys, that's the thing. They're all still out there, and they're all still considered experts, which is just unbelievable. They've all made millions off of this thing. And I think beyond all that, I tweeted something out earlier, and I believe this pretty strongly, which is that Iraq, in the end, is the ground zero for everything that went wrong in the 2000s. I mean, for all of our, from wasting all sorts of money and creating deficits that then these Pete Petersons could try to use to cut social programs, money that we could have used on universal health care 100 times over, from creating this, from corrupting the Defense Department and corrupting, the contracting that was going on, because all these all these articles, if you probably read some of them, Sam, and other people did, about these defense contractors pre-Iraq who were making, they're having a tough time, but they were making a couple $1 million a year, and they went from that to making a couple $100 million a year in compensation. It corrupted that. It cost us what could have been a shorter and successful incursion into Afghanistan. I mean, it destroyed everything. It helped lead to the Great Recession. This is the ground zero. The lies that we're told, if you want to go and find that point, patient zero for where this all began, where everything went to hell, it's that these guys purposely, knowingly lied and got us into a war. And a war that, we're seeing that country fall apart now, but how much have we seen fall apart in the meantime of our democracy because of them? And again, they're walking around, making their big salaries, getting paid a few $100,000 or $1 million or whatever it is George W. Bush gets for a speech. A couple of them can't go to certain countries because they'll be thrown into prison as war criminals. But as long as they stay around here, and half of them probably never had passports anyhow, they're just fine. It's a scandal wouldn't do it justice. I don't know a word that would do it justice to call what they did.
Yeah, and just the idea that there is no, it wouldn't make a difference, frankly, to the literally hundreds of thousands of Iraqis that we killed. But the idea that there's no accountability, that we do not have any mechanism, even culturally speaking, to hold these people.
To shun them, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
The closest we've come is like Condi Rice having to back out of giving a commencement speech. That's the closest we've come to any accountability for these people.
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, I have my issues with the whole idea of people not allowing people to speak at universities. But I think, and it's a little bit different calculation when it comes to things like getting an honorary degree. I mean, I know hair splitting here, but I really do think that the idea of throwing pies at these people when they go out, I mean, it seems childish, but it sends a message that at the very least there is some segment of the population that is saying that, like, we hold you to account, we remember. And I still, I consider my one of the, and it was so meaningless on some level, so small, but one of the most important moments of my career, I feel like, in talking about politics, was just being able on national television just to say the word "suck on this" to Thomas Friedman. I mean, and it was out of context, but the idea that he had to go home that night, and I know he did, and just wonder, is this just going to follow me forever, was enough, I mean, for me to sort of justify my entire career talking, because it was just to pierce that bubble that these people live in, to just add one element of shame for the incredibly incalculable suffering that they have caused, just because they wanted to take out a position on something. I think
but Thomas Friedman married into a billionaire family, so it's not like it matters for him.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I mean, if
I'm kidding with you.
No, but I mean, at the end of the day, he's able to forget about it. But if it's stuck in his mind, even for 12 hours, it was.
Well, what I meant by that was what's going on in Iraq. Because if you don't have a conscience, which I doubt he has, and you live the life that these guys live, McCain and his 7 houses, or is it 9 or whatever, Mitt Romney and his car elevator. Their lives are never going to be affected in that way. But if during their daily lives, people like you and people like me and people like, frankly, anybody listening can get in their faces and can shame them and make sure they're never accepted into normal society. Yeah, they can run in their elite circles, but when they have to deal with us, the plebes, the dirty masses, they know what we think of them. If we can make sure that happens, hell, it's something, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's a very minor consolation, but it is indeed something.
No, I know. I'm not saying it's much, and it's nothing for the innocent people, not only who are not yet killed, but who are living in Iraq right now, who may lose their lives.
Half a million people have left Mosul, a city of 2 million. So on top of the at least 2 million internal refugees we created in Iraq and the 2 million external refugees we created in Iraq, you have at least another 500,000. It's probably easily 1 million by now. I mean, and Defense Department numbers are at least 100, I think 50,000 civilians killed. And that is Defense Department estimates. Defense Department estimates. I mean,
which are low.
Of course. It's
very, very, very low.
Yeah. And so it's just, and I don't know.
No, you talk about this, and I don't know that we can come to any conclusion. I hope for the best for anybody there. I hope for their safety. I hope for they're getting some sort of help to relocate if necessary. For their families to be safe. It's disgusting and it's heartbreaking, and what should happen to people here who helps make this happen will of course never happen. Nothing close will. But what I would wish for was the sorts of things I can't say out loud, so I won't.
Right. Well, Cliff, somber note to end on, but as always, appreciate your talking to you. I knew that we would have some serious thoughts about this.